Hey, good mornings, everybody. Happy Sunday. Happy New Year's Eve. It's Daryl here. It is bright and freaking early, man. It's the earliest it's ever been. Seriously. 2:45 a.m. here in Connecticut on the East Coast. If you watch my channel, you know that if I'm out here at 3 a.m. or before 3 a.m., that means I found an article. I found something that I feel very strongly about, and it's a video that I really want to do. And I am super psyched this morning. I got so many ideas. I have an idea for my other channel. I'll talk about that more. Watch the end of this video because I already made a little clip, and it's a shocking. At the end of this video, right now, there's going to be a clip of me without my teeth, just to make a point, and it is cringe worthy in the vocabulary of the young folk out there. Man, I sound so freaking old. Okay, let's get into this. All right, I saw a video this morning that really got me psyched. Bam Margera and the Madhouse Boys. Now, I did a video about the Madhouse Boys, at least one or two before. And I didn't actually see them talk. I never really watched the video, and I was very critical. It was the video of Bam sneaking up behind one of the boys and just belting him in the side of the head. And I wasn't very impressed with that. And, my first impression of the Madhouse Boys wasn't all that great. This impression is so much better. All right, this video, I'll have the link right down below. It's their YouTube page. It's their YouTube channel. It's the actual video. This video, the part with the snake is in the middle. And then down below, there'll be some more articles like from TMZ, where you can just see the video itself with the snake. So the videos will be down below. All right, this video starts out with them congratulating Bam on having over 150 days clean and sober, which, believe me, is no small feat. I've been clean and sober, I'll say it again, since October 23rd of 2006, over 17 years, 2 months and 10 days maybe. Clean and sober, completely clean and sober. I was a full-blown hardcore. I was smoking crack every day for over 20 years, and on top of that, I got cross addicted to heroin and pills and alcohol. I was just a full-blown mess for about 12 of those years, and I've been completely clean and sober. Okay, this video is fantastic. This is what I talk about when I say that, when I'm in recovery and I could spot recovery in somebody else. And you see Bam's true emotions, his fear, overcoming his fear. It's so good to see somebody clean and sober. I remember the video I remember most, the Bam Margera. I talked about this let's see, it was probably about 5 months ago, when Bam was supposedly clean before he got really clean. And he was in a car with a bunch of his friends, like 3 of his friends. And he was slurring his words, and he was doing like hand stuff, showing his rings and bragging. And he was putting down the other guys from Jackass. And it was just sad, man. It was the height of addiction and denial. It really was. It was one of the saddest things. And when I see him now, I swear to God, that's why I'm out here. That's why I'm out here so early. I rushed through everything this morning. I rushed through my shower. My hair's still wet. I hurried up and shaved to get out here and talk about this because I was so excited about this. Okay, so in this video, he overcomes his fear of snakes, and he talks about this in the video. He says when he was about 5 years old, this is Bam now, he was crawling through a pipe under the highway. And it was all dark, and he couldn't see, and he was about halfway through in this pipe, and a snake all of a sudden was in front of him, and it lunged at him, and he backed off, and he smashed his head against the pipe, and there was blood everywhere. He said blood was gushing everywhere. This is when he was 5 years old, so this induced his fear of snakes. So I could understand that. And in this video, first, he asks his shaman. I guess he's got a shaman. I guess, when you're in Hollywood and you're a famous movie star, Jackass star, when you're in recovery, you have the luxury of having a shaman with you, I guess. I didn't have that luxury. But he asks his shaman if he should do this. And it says, yes, you should walk directly towards your fears. And it's the truth, man. I'll get into that more in a second, because I'm going to talk about a similar situation with me. So then in this video, you could tell, man, he is just struggling to face this fear. You know, they go to put it around him and he ducks down like at the last minute. He can't do it, you know, and you could see that in him. You know, he's trying so hard. Wait a second, guys. The camera was like off this much and it was driving me crazy. I was getting distracted while I was talking. Okay, that's better. Okay, so he finally touches. I think it's a big like Burmese python, like albino Burmese python, I guess. Or you can correct me in the comments if I don't know. I used to collect garden snakes when I was a kid. I used to bring them to school. I used to get bit by garden snakes. Like I had no fear of snakes whatsoever, and they would hang off my arm, like, you know, bite me and hang off my arm. And I'd go, "Hey, Mom, look at this!" And it'd be, you know, my mom would almost pass out, you know, when she saw this. And I'd bring them to school and the girls would all be scared and run away, and I freaking loved it. I had aquariums full of garden snakes, turtles, chameleons and stuff like that, but I am terrified. I hate cockroaches, man. I hate bugs. I hate cockroaches. I got a fear of that. But this morning, so as I watched this, you know, and then I skipped with the video here. So they try. He says he's more afraid of the little snakes. So after he faces his fear with the big snake, the big like 11-foot, you know, Burmese python, they kind of surprise him again. And you know, this is almost dangerous because when you got a fear of something this bad, and all of a sudden you put it right next to somebody, they tend to hold their breath and they could pass out. I'm going to talk about that. That almost happened to me. What I'm scared of. And so he faces his fears in this video. And this is why this is important. This is something Bam's going to remember for the rest of his life. You know, like there's going to be times, you know, God willing, he lives another 20, 30, 40 years. And he's got to face new challenges. He's going to look back and he's going to say, man, I remember that time when, you know, I faced my fear when those snakes. If I could do that, I could do this. I could do anything. And he'll do that for the rest of his life. He'll use that as ammunition, as energy to face fears in the future. And I know because I do that now. I was trying to think what I have a fear of. And here it is. I have a fear of needles. Yes, I am a recovering heroin addict with a very large fear of needles. When I get my blood taken now, or I get the vaccination, the jab, I hate that, man. I hate when they call it the jab on the right. But I've gotten all my vaccinations. Let's not get into that. You know, and it's just the thought of that little piece of metal going into my flesh. And in my head, I picture it hitting the bone and scraping off the bone, you know, and making it, you know, like a noise, you know, like that. Or going into the vein and just puncturing and going right through the vein. It freaks me out. Okay, so this is what happened. And I remember this. Whenever I have to face new challenges, this is what happened. I told you guys I got into a methadone clinic, and that's how I finally got clean and sober. And this is a great clinic. It's called the Root Recovery Clinic here in Connecticut. And there's several clinics. I think they have 5 or 6 now open in Connecticut. And back when I started going there 17 years ago, they had, I don't know if they still do, but they had a dental program where they had one of the professors from UConn, the School of Dentistry, come down and work free in a dental clinic right in the methadone clinic. They had a dentist office, a whole dentist office set up, and she would come in and they do work for a reduced fee because so many addicts have banged up teeth. And all of my teeth, when I say this, all of my teeth were broken off at the gum line. Literally, like they were missing and broken at the gum line. Every single tooth in my mouth was rotted and broken off across the gums. I didn't have one whole white tooth left in my mouth. And once I got clean and sober, I mean, I couldn't smile. This bothered me every day. This is part of the reason when I used heroin, especially, I would forget about it. You know, even though I looked hideous, you know, and when I smiled, you know, there's just holes and even worse than that, there's like rotted brown pieces of stubs hanging down in my mouth. And when I used, I would forget about it. You know, even though I looked terrible, I would just, you know, it would be out of my mind, and I'd kind of function throughout the day, you know, and so it was kind of a fuel for me to keep using. Okay, so I started going there, and I decided to get all new teeth. Okay, and here's the thing. So this professor was there. It was a black lady, a professor, and I got to know her so well. She retired after she did my teeth, and I actually bought her a gift to take with her. After it was part of my recovery. It was so cool. Here's the thing though, she had 2 dental students doing the initial work. So I had 2 dental students working on me, and I couldn't take any pain pills because I'm a recovering opiate addict. So all I could have were Novocaine needles. And it was just one after the next. And this is what they did. I sat back in that chair for 2 sessions. The first session, how many teeth are in your mouth? Was it like 28, I think? Or is it 32, 28? I can't remember right now. But they did all the top ones, and then they did a few of the bottom ones in the first session. And I was in that chair for about 5 hours, seriously. And I was grabbing the arms of that chair so hard. I'm not kidding. I thought there would be imprints, or my fingers were I thought I was going to bend the metal chair. Like, because I was just so, after those 5 hours, I felt like I got hit by a truck. My face was swollen. So this is what they did. They cut each tooth out, and then, you know, they had to cut in and pull each tooth and pull the root out, and there was just blood and pieces of tooth all over. And these 2 students, just 2 students, the professor left the room, and it was just these 2 students just giving me another Novocaine shot, you know, a shot right, I could feel it go right into my gum, right up into my nose, it felt like. You know, so I must have gotten like 20 Novocaine shots at least in that 5 hours, because they just kept hitting me with another one, because this is the only thing I could do. They could give me for the whole thing. And I mean, I was soaked through. I was sweating. I was soaked through my clothes after 5 hours. This is where it got. Then I came back for a second session. That was another 3 hours, and they pulled the bottom ones, and that had to be the worst, because it's just the skinny jawbone here, and they pulled the bottom teeth. So they pulled all 32, 28. I gotta look that up after this video. Okay, now this is probably the worst part of it. They actually cut my gums. These are 2 students again. They cut my gums open from one side to the other with a scalpel, and open it up to the jawbone so you can see the jawbone. So this is making me cringe right now. And they took a file, because they had to file down the jawbone. And I was wide awake I remember my head going back and forth as they were filing my jawbone down, the rough spots down. They opened it up, and then they stitched it all back up. And I felt like I got hit by a freaking Mack truck. I couldn't drive. I brought my parents along with me. This is to this day, I still have a problem with needles, and this is what I was talking about. Like, I just had blood drawn just for a regular blood test with my yearly physical now, because I try to stay healthy now that I'm clean and sober, and go for a yearly physical and watch my cholesterol and all that good stuff. And they drew my blood, and to this day, I'm still terrified of needles. Like, when they go to put it in, I hold my breath, and I've almost passed out a few times. Like, they'll put it in, they'll realize I'm not, I go, and then I just stop breathing, and all of a sudden I start to pass out, and they're like, Gerald, breathe, you know, and I start to turn blue and stuff. Well, that's what they said. I don't know if I was actually turning blue or not, but so here's the thing now. That was about 15 years ago. And every time I'm faced with the challenge, I swear to God, every time I'm faced with the challenge now, I think back to that whole experience, and I tell myself, Daryl, if you could do that, you know, because I had to return there. Then I had to return for them to make the teeth and put the teeth in, and, you know, and it was a whole long couple months process, you know, pulling the teeth and letting it all heal, filing it down, letting it all heal, suturing it up, and then fitting, you know, letting the swelling go down, and then fitting myself for the teeth and everything. You know. And I had my parents drive me there, thank God, because I knew if I didn't have them drive me, I wouldn't go. I would turn around at the last minute. You know, I'd make any excuse I probably would have ended up using, honestly. So I had them bring me there, not make me go, but accompany me there. And then I was so banged up when I left there, I couldn't drive. I felt, like I said, I could barely stand up when I left there. And to this day, I still use that as fuel. I tell myself now, whenever I'm facing any kind of challenge, I'm like, if I could freaking do that, I can do anything, man. You know, sit there in that chair for 5 hours as 2 dental students cut pieces of my bone out of and filed my jawbone down while I was awake. So I know a little something about facing my fears. Okay, now here comes the video. I'm gonna show you guys what I look like with no teeth. So here comes the video. You guys, I will be back later. I've got so many ideas for videos today to celebrate 2024. So I will be back with another video today. I made a video talking about the big waves in California, and I used to surf, and I had a particularly bad wipeout where I broke my board, and I had sandburns all over just from a 6-foot wave. And I talk about that in the next video I'm going to download. So check that out. The big waves pounding California right now. 30-foot waves pounding California. That'll be the next video. You guys have a great New Year's Eve. Okay, guys, I don't know if I'm going to put this in the video or not. As you can tell, I have a hard time talking without my teeth. One of the hardest things I ever had to face was having all of my teeth surgically removed. They actually cut and yanked out every tooth I had in my mouth, and here it is.